How many of you here know what Street Fighter is? I'm gonna assume most of you, because you did click on this video. I mean, who hasn't heard of Street Fighter? This is the franchise that invented the fighting game genre. And Street Fighter 2 is regarded as one of the best fighting games of all time. But here's the kicker. How many of you know there was actually a Street Fighter game before Street Fighter 2? Released in the arcades, on the TurboGrafx CD, and on a handful of home computers. And seeing how most of you probably had never even heard of the TurboGrafx CD until I just mentioned it, it's easy to see why this game flew under most people's radar. And I'm gonna be brutally honest with you guys. This game is bad. Like, really, really, really bad. Like, this has to be the worst fighting game I have ever had the displeasure of playing. I mean, the amount of consoles this thing got ported to should tell you everything you need to know about its quality. Street Fighter 2, that game was everywhere. The Genesis, the Super Nintendo, the arcades, handhelds, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch. It's been remade into oblivion. Street Fighter 1, on the other hand, after its original release, didn't get re-released again until the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, which is how I'm playing it right now. Which is pretty much the arcade version, or the 6-button arcade version, I should say, as there are actually two different arcade versions of this game. First, there was the classic 6-button layout that we know that's classic to fighting games. Then there was the punchy version, aka the version in which you punched the buttons, and depending on how hard you punched them, would dictate how hard the character attacked. Am I the only one that sees a problem with this setup? Yeah, this version of the arcade cabinet was prone to breaking and malfunctioning. Go figure. I mean, what was Capcom thinking? Like, hey, let's make a machine that is designed to break itself because it encourages people to beat the ever-living hell out of it. Genius. Absolutely genius. Next, let's talk about the gameplay. It's a fighting game, of course. So you're dropped into an arena and told to beat the ever-loving crap out of the other guy. Sounds super simple, right? Well, the problem is, this isn't a very fluid or easy to control fighting game. Meaning, it's basically Street Fighter button mashing edition. And sure, there are special moves, technically, but they're ridiculously overpowered. I mean, I beat the final boss in round 2 by accident in literally 5 seconds by pulling off 2 special moves by accident. And I know what you're all thinking. If the special moves are so overpowered, then the game must be super easy, right?
Good question.
Wrong. The special moves are almost impossible to pull off because of how badly this game controls. And later fights basically require you to use the special moves in order to succeed. Meaning, most of your time is going to be spent flailing around like a headless chicken because of how bad these controls are. Oh, and did I forget to mention how brutal the enemy AI is? I mean, some of these guys can wipe you out in seconds if you're not on your guard. So combined all these problems together, and you've got yourself a very, very miserable experience. That being said, now there is one small part of the gameplay which can be fun. And I mean it's small. The mini games. They last about 5 seconds each, but they're actually pretty enjoyable. One of them just has you press a button at the right time to smash some cinder blocks. The other one has you jump around the arena punching and kicking boards. They don't last long at all, but credit where it's due, they are pretty fun. So yeah, other than those 2 mini games, the gameplay sucks. So, what about the music? The music's good at least, right?
You had to ask.
Yeah, I think the music speaks for itself. It's not that great. Next up, let's talk about the characters. Because what's a fighting game without a roster? First up, there's Ryu. He's the same all-rounder we all know and love. Hadokens, spitting kicks, the classic Shoryuken. He's also a homeless hippie who travels around the world in his white pajamas looking for people to fight and competing in every martial arts tournament he can find. Who, for some reason, in this game, has red hair instead of black. To my knowledge, there's no canonical reason as to why his hair changed color between games, but if you guys have a theory as to why it is, leave a comment down below and let me know. Then there's his best friend, Ken Masters. Ken is the heir to the Masters family fortune, reigning champion of the All-American Martial Arts Tournament, and Ryu's oldest rival. He shares the same moveset and the same goal. Honestly, the same everything. He's basically Ryu with blonde hair and a trust fund. And that's it. That's all your playable characters. 2. That's it. Everyone else is just a random person you fight along the way. Granted, some of them are playable in later games, like Sagat, Jin, Birdie, and Andon. But here, they're just more basic enemies for you to fight. Oh, and funny story, there's also this American fighter called Joe, who was originally gonna be the main character of the game. However, for one reason or another, he was swapped out for Ryu at the 11th hour. That's why Joe is the guy in the opening cinematic of the game, and not Ryu. I just thought that would be a cool thing to mention. And wait a second, I just noticed something. Those are the names of other classic Capcom arcade games on the wall in graffiti art. That's actually a really cool Easter egg I did not notice until just now. And now, let's get into the very last thing everyone is probably wondering. What is the story of the original Street Fighter? Like, why is everybody beating the ever-loving crap out of each other? It must be something completely insane, right? Because later Street Fighter games go completely off the rails bonkers with their stories. Well, you'd be wrong. The story in the original Street Fighter is actually pretty basic. And it goes something like this. Ryu enters the very first World Warriors tournament, travels the globe, beats up everyone he sees, and eventually faces Sagat, the big boss. He wins, wounds Sagat, and that's how Sagat got his famous chest scar. Pretty cool, right? Except, funny story, you don't actually find that out in this game. Nope. Street Fighter ends with basically, congratulations, you won. The whole scar thing only gets explained in later games. So yeah, the grand narrative of Street Fighter 1 is basically Ryu beats people up, wins a trophy, and accidentally gives Sagat permanent body art. That's the entire plot. Shakespeare? you can eat your fucking heart out. And that's all I have to say about the original Street Fighter. Is it a game I would recommend to anybody? No, absolutely not. Unless you're playing the multiplayer with a bunch of friends at like a party or something, and you're all drunk, and having a good laugh at how stupid the game is, then no. Beyond a drunk party game, the game has absolutely no entertainment value. If you want a fun fighting game experience, play pretty much any other Street Fighter game other than this one, as every other Street Fighter game, to my knowledge, is pretty good. That being said though, I am glad it was included in the 30th anniversary collection, for preservation reasons, but that doesn't mean you should actually play it. That is, unless you're actively looking for a bad time. Anyway, that's all for today. If you liked the video, make sure to like and comment. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe and also check out my studio's game, Nova Rebellion, up on Steam. It's actually on a Black Friday sale right now, so you can get it at a pretty steep discount. Also, consider joining the Discord server, where you can chat with members of the studio, as well as fans of the studio. Links will be in the description. And that's all for today, folks. This is Troy Schultz, the Anti-Gamer Slayer, signing off!